Hello and welcome to OverShadow ShadowCast with your host Thomas Anderson and tech wizard Abigail Moat.
Hello.
Are you back again?
Theoretically.
Theoretically only.
Yes.
Is it theoretically?
I did not sleep the entire week I was away.
That explains the twitching.
It's not a good holiday.
Did you have any fun at all?
We shall discuss later.
I did see you did some lovely drawings though.
Yeah, I was working on stuff for this because it's not so much there wasn't anything to do, but you see, I foolishly looked at this accommodation and I didn't check the street view because the street was like that, which is basically, what angle would you say that is?
That is like 45 degrees.
Yeah. It was a very steep hill.
Right.
And unfortunately, it was a bit of a chore to climb up and down that because we were at the top of the hill.
Right.
But also it was raining a lot. Well, not too much, but it was very, very cold.
Right, okay.
So we didn't really want to be... And also in the evening, there wasn't much on television, so...
Yeah. Was it just nice though to be in a fresh environment?
The last night was really nice because we had a very clear sky. Because where we were in the borders. And it's got... hopefully I get this terminology right. It's called black sky or something like this. Basically very, very minimum light pollution.
So you can see
the stars. And the last night we were there, it was like the sky was very clear. And I've never seen so many stars before. And then my dad actually very kindly drove us to the border of Scotland and England, which is on top of a hill.
Right.
So we were able to look out and we could see the Milky Way and everything. And also I discovered that apparently the constellation I've been calling the Big Dipper is actually called the Plough over here. They call it the Big Dipper in America.
It's called the Plough.
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's the only constellation I've ever been able to spot, but my goodness, there were so many stars. I've never seen so many stars before. It was a really nice way to end the trip. But it was very, very cold. Very cold. And I stupidly didn't prepare for that because I thought, well, at least the house would be warm.
Ah, yes.
I won't go into that now. I won't go into another rant. But it's a very nice town. It's a very pretty town.
No, that's, yeah, but you just...
I saw a copy of Mary Queen of Scots' death mask that had been painted. That was very eerie.
I've never been to the borders for, like, a stay. I've been through it.
Yeah.
And I've had to visit it at one point.
Yeah.
But I've never been there for an elongated stay.
I've been there, but very rarely because my dad's from there.
Yeah.
Not from the town we were at, but he's from the borders. But he's from the English side. It's where he was born.
Yeah.
And if you say he's like, no, I'm a border man. Not an Englishman. But here's the thing, right?
He's a borderman, as in he crossed the border.
No, he did a lot. But no, because
Made him sound like a smuggler.
he used to tell me because he used to live in Coldstream. But there was a point in which Scotland had a different, like, closing bar time, like last orders time, to England.
Aye.
Like Scotland, it was earlier, and then in England, it was later. So literally, they would literally just cross the bridge.
Aye.
So and then they swapped it over, so it'd be like earlier in England and then later in Scotland. But he said we would just literally just cross the border, we could still be drinking. But yeah.
It's perfectly valid.
My sister used to joke the fact that he was born like in Northumberland. And she would always say Northumberland. I thought that was a joke. And then literally on Borders Radio, the entire time we were there, we're like, for the Borders and Northumberland. I'm like, oh, is that an actual thing people say?
Yeah. I think it's because if you look at a map
it's very big.
Northumberland is like
it's very
biggest by landmass,
I don't know, but it's very big.
Or long at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, from north to south it's quite a big, it's like the neck that connects the body of Wales and England to the head that is Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's as I said, I've never stopped there. I think I was never stopped there, but been through it.
Yeah.
And for a few family holidays, and it's flat.
Not where we were.
No, but this is what's weird. It looks flat. Even the hillocky areas are flat. They look weirdly flat to me.
No, not to me. And I did say this many times, which was if we're in the very hilly parts, I would say I've never actually seen so much land without a lot of houses on it before. Like there was one or two maybe dotted about, but then there was like somewhere just none, and you could see that at night time because there was no lights or anything like that. And I used to think that we kind of live in the middle of nowhere, but no, that is the absolute almost middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I see what you mean. My uncles and aunties always, in Ireland, had houses, especially my auntie Kathleen and Uncle Dennis, who basically they've got a farmhouse. I mean, it's not so much a farmhouse as a farm mansion, but it's like, if they turn out the lights, you're kind of struggling to
Is
see.
this the kind of place that like posh people would call a cottage or something like this?
No,
Alright.
even a posh person would refer to this as
You should go where we were. We saw loads of places like that.
What do you mean?
Like there's quite a lot of big old houses out where we
Oh,
were.
this wasn't an old house.
All right.
They did very well because of basically because they're in the European Union, and they
Reel it in.
They used one of their fields that wasn't so great for farming and built an enormous house on it.
That's smart.
Yeah, so like I think there are 2 rooms in that house which combined are the same size as my house.
My on my grand's side, on my mum's like family go back, they had farms in Ireland as well.
So they've got this enormous
where.
house.
This
Yep.
is when we find out we're secretly related, like 10 generations back.
Yeah.
Depressing thought that is.
Alright, thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
Here, take this hammer. You will need it.
Smash your head in.
Yep. But it's weird. I know it's not, but when I look at it, it's like they've got lots of hills that are made of flatness.
Can we stop talking about the borders now? Can we go back to this?
That's just the one thing that got to me compared to
So we're
around
talking about this
here.
for almost 10 minutes now.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Let's.
You're wanting me to edit this almost instantly after we do this.
Yeah. That's your standing order. Okay. Fair enough. We'll move past it.
I bought you a candle.
Yes, you did. Made of fresh beeswicks.
It looks like an elephant.
Yeah. An elephant that has makeup on.
And I bought you some honey fudge, which technically is more like tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know, like
It
fudge
looks
is
like it.
fudge is like soft, and that is not soft. That stuff, because we tried a little bit of it, not from that packet.
Well, it's malleable though as well. Fudge.
Yeah.
If you hold it in your hand, you can squeeze it.
Yeah.
And toffee eventually can be squeezed if you heat it up enough in your hand. When tablet would just start to dissolve with any sweat
Yeah.
on your hand, it wouldn't
It's
start
not
to be
pleasant
malleable.
when you're holding it.
It would crack. So thank you very much for the fudge.
You're very welcome.
And the elephant
You're very welcome.
that follows me around the room. His eyes follow me
Wait
around
till you
the
see
room.
what I got your mum and your brother.
Is it I know what it is. You got Mum a poacher. And she's going to shoot my elephant for the tusks.
That would be hilarious if they actually did that. It's a nice honey farm that we went to. So, shall we get on to...
Well, you've not been playing anything, have you?
No,
Let's see, what have I done?
nothing.
Just kept playing some more Forza. Just going to finish it off. Not that invested in it because it's not as much fun as 5 was. That's about it.
That was short and depressing. Right, on to the news then. Because I had literally 3 hours to look this up last night.
So the first story we're going to talk about is in relation to Activision and Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yes, now this is the latest title that they're releasing, isn't it?
Yes. It's strange. The name, I don't know what to call the name. It's not a reboot, and it's not a re-release, and it's not a I don't really know. They've had a game called Modern Warfare. They had Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically just removed the 4 and it's a different game. But it's in the same... It's like a I don't know if it's a reboot or a recommencing of the Modern Warfare story arc that they had.
Yeah.
But this particular story that we're going to tell that we're talking about is regarding loot boxes. So you've got some information there.
Yeah, well...
And we'll hear your information first, and then...
Mm-hmm. So apparently there will be no loot boxes in this game, but there will be battle passes, a battle pass system, and an in-game store. So the battle passes will going to be released on a seasonal basis, and they're going to be created to fit each season, mm-hmm. which I presume means like spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Unless it means something different in the gaming community.
Well, sometimes in the gaming community, like, for example, I think with Destiny 2, they're planning on having a yearly content that you could maybe refer to as their seasons. So once a year they release a big thing. But considering that Call of Duty games are a yearly release, their seasons will be 3 months.
Right, okay. So the passes are going to have both free and premium reward tiers, which will be called streams. Neither anything that's bought in the store or a battle purchase will impact gameplay. Activision have said, this is a quote from them, all functional content that has an impact on game balance, such as base weapons and attachments, can be unlocked simply by playing the game.
Okay, so this is
so it sounds fairer.
Right, but this is where I kick in and tell you that that's not true.
What do you mean?
Said things like this have been done in the past by Activision, and what they do is they sell the game.
Mm-hmm.
They wait for the reviews to come in, and then about a month later, they slap on the loot box system. In fact, they actually played, I think it was during the beta of this particular game, some people did find the loot box mechanic system built into the game already. And all they'll do is basically flick a proverbial switch and turn it on.
Right, okay.
Because, well, I mean, have a look at that. All functional content that has an impact on game balance, such as base weapons and attachments, can be unlocked simply by playing the game. Now, they could say that the base weapon, what they mean by that is the weapon itself, and then the attachments change the weapon slightly.
Yeah.
Or they could mean the base weapons in the game, and there are more coming soon, which will be put in the loot boxes, which are not yet on.
Can we not just believe that they're just being very transparent here and that this is what it is? Can we not give them a benefit of a doubt before it's happened?
Well, in this instance, no, because they have also stated that they were never planning on doing certain things regarding loot boxes and certain things regarding season passes and all the rest of it. And we know that that's not true.
Okay.
We know that they removed loot boxes after a backlash. And yet they said that they've never had any interest in putting them in. But then you look at the beta, and you can see clearly that the system is put in. And if they never had any interest, why did they remove it anyway? It's just... You're perfectly entitled to give them a chance, obviously. You can't convict them until they've actually done something. But the point is that do not be surprised if after the reviews come in, this happens, because this is exactly what they said in previous releases, where they released it without the loot box system, like the last one, Black Ops 4, and then after the reviews came in, bang, loot boxes.
Right, so you just think that this is that the reason that they're saying there's no loot boxes is to get more people to buy it.
Right.
Because Call of Duty is one of the titles which is like failing a little bit, isn't it?
Oh, it's on the slide, and the issue for Activision is the fact that as Activision as a developer, and to an extent Activision Blizzard as the company, it's their big title. Like, it's all they've really got. You've got World of Warcraft with Blizzard, and you've got Call of Duty with Activision, and that's it. They've got a few smaller things, but that's their big IP. And so without it, they've got nothing. So they have to try and maximise their profits. So the sales numbers are down massively. But they still made $500 million. I think it was revenue in the last game. Actually, I think maybe... It's probably profit, actually. It's probably $500 million in profit.
Okay.
But I think that a game like Call of Duty 5 has made billions in profit.
Yeah.
Like 11 billion or something stupid like that.
Again, it's one of those titles I don't hear being used quite a lot, like people playing it.
It's very much like FIFA from the point of view of it was everybody playing it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now I just don't see anybody play. I do not hear people around me saying, "Oh, I was playing the Call of Duty and I was absolutely amazing. I'm going to Prestige 3 times." You don't hear that anymore.
No.
I mean, I never heard it with that accent, but you don't hear the words anymore.
No.
Because nobody cares.
No.
And I don't think it's just it's partly a generational thing, but I think, I'm not trying to say that we got older and didn't care about those games anymore. I think we got older and realised that after certain games in the series, they just didn't try as hard. So what was the point? I think there was a massive selection of people who played those games firstly for the campaign and then secondly for the multiplayer. And when they kept making single player games that weren't fun, people just stopped buying them. I think the last one James got was World War II, and he hadn't bought a few before that. He just bought it because he thought it looked quite good, and then he played it, and I haven't heard him mention it other than I've played that. So you have to have a strong single player campaign for people basically of a certain era to want to play it. Because we're not the modern day teenagers that just want to get all the noobs.
It's like I just thought the other day, I was like, geez, I'm 27. That just kind of dawned on me the other day. I'm like, I keep forgetting.
For me, it's when people who I look at who are quite a lot, I'm thinking, oh, you're mid-30s, you're late 30s, you're early 40s, saying, oh, I was born in 1978, and I'm like, that's only 12 years before me.
It's like there's teenagers that, people who are almost 20 who were born.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that.
Well, when my eldest first cousin once removed, or whatever it is like that, my cousin's kid, who lives in Scotland, she was born when I was 20.
Wow.
So when she's like a teenager, I'll be mid-30s.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy to think of stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm actually trying to figure out if there's anybody, and none of my actual cousins are that much older than me.
No, with me there's quite a big jump in age with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's like last time I was around, it was kind of like the first time I'd ever been around cousins from my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
And I just stopped myself calling them uncle or aunt because I know they're my cousins because they're in their 50s and stuff like that.
Wow. That's pretty big.
I think, but there was quite a big jump between my dad and some of his siblings in terms of age.
Yeah.
I think.
So just to get back to the point we were trying to make originally, was that I think that the original players have grown up, but they've not grown away from it because of age. It's grown away from us.
Yeah.
It just looks the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
They stopped making good single player stories.
Yeah.
And that's why my age group will really not play it, because we had enough of the. We're not that interested in Twitch shooters. It's not our thing.
No.
I do not see the skill in essentially having an accident in your underpants every time you think somebody's coming around the corner, because that's how you win those games.
You're constantly on edge.
Yeah, I don't see the skill in that.
Yeah.
If I want a lot of fun in multiplayer, I put on Halo 5. Because some really weird stuff happens because you're given enough flexibility. Because of the shields, it takes longer to kill someone in certain circumstances, so you can actually have a nice time. Like, if you get into a melee fight, that takes a couple of hits to kill someone. In Call of Duty, it's whoever presses the button first wins. Like, there's no strategy, there's no
Doesn't sound
tactics,
fun.
there's nothing there.
This doesn't sound fun to me.
So for us, it's the single player campaigns. We'll play, if it's good shooting, good maps, good weapons, you would get us playing multiplayer. But for me especially, and I think for quite a few of them too, it has to have a good, solid, interesting single player campaign. Do you remember the no Russian controversy?
I remember you telling me about it, but I can't remember what it was.
I didn't tell you actually what it was because I wanted you to play it on a video for the channel, but it's there's huge controversies in games, right?
Yeah.
Mass Effect had a massive controversy due to adult intimacy scenes, right?
Yeah.
Huge controversies when I was playing games when I was a teenager. Now what you have is controversies because Andromeda wasn't made properly, and Call of Duty is just sneaking loot boxes in left, right and centre.
So it's not the actual gameplay that people, or not the actual storyline people are having a go at, it's the mechanics of it.
Exactly. There's the cutting edge isn't there anymore.
No.
They're not doing new things, they're not pushing boundaries, they're not telling great stories.
Right, I think we're getting a bit off topic there, and I think I need to reel that back in. I think that's all we have to say on that story.
I would say, I'm going to use this phrase about Activision and loot boxes here with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, is they're being sleakit.
I didn't understand what you said when you meant that. When I thought that meant sneaky.
It does.
Okay, great. Let's move on. To EA.
Yes, so it's been discovered that EA have a patent for a new form of monetization which makes the purchase less valuable the more people buy it. Therefore, people are incentivized to buy it sooner.
Right, I didn't actually understand that.
Okay, that's fine.
Because I read I loads of articles and I still, I don't know if it was the way people were wording it, but I just couldn't really understand what it meant.
You know what a day one DLC is?
Pardon?
A day one DLC.
No.
So it's like it's DLC which is sold on the day the game is released. Day one DLC.
Yeah.
Most people get annoyed at it because they think, well, why isn't it in the game? DLC costs money because you've had to take time to develop the DLC. If you've already developed it while developing the game and it's available for day one, put it in the game. It's something that really annoys a lot of people. I'm one of them, right? A lot of day one DLC is designed so that people get an advantage by buying this day one DLC. Especially in multiplayer games, obviously. So they get these benefits from buying this pack. Now, that is more of a benefit the sooner you buy it because less people have it too.
Yeah. Right, okay.
So if it's like, just to take it to the extreme, if it's an amazing weapon for multiplayer, you're going to do better if you're the only person that has it.
This is the Incredibles theory. When everybody's super, no one will be.
Exactly.
Okay. You could have just used that phrase and I understand it.
I did not know that phrase, but that's
what Syndrome says when he walks away. It's like, when everybody's super, no one will be.
Yes, now I remember.
Basically, if everybody's got the same thing, it's no longer special.
Yes.
Okay. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You could apply the same theory to lots of things, lots of prejudices.
It's like if everybody had $1 million, if every single person on the planet had £1 million or whatever it was, that wouldn't make a difference because everything would just get hiked up prices and you still wouldn't be able to afford anything. Yeah. Instead of 90 pence for a loaf of bread, it's now £10.95 or something like this.
Yeah. Anyway, so
it's like when they try and raise the minimum wage and then raise the price of everything. Makes no difference.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, do you know what the best way to reduce prices for people is?
Reduce the prices?
No, cut fuel.
Yeah.
Fuel prices going down cheapens the transport of goods,
but
and therefore they become cheaper.
They won't cheapen the cost of fuel because if you increase it, it's like they'll say it's helping the environment, hiking up the price of fuel because less people will be inclined to drive and stuff like that.
Only if the fuel used is hydrocarbon based, not if it's battery power from renewable source.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, That's what this description that I gave means. It's the idea of a loot box or a DLC which becomes less effective as more people buy it.
Yeah.
And EA have stated that the patent was lodged by another company and came to EA when they purchased the original applicant. Now you have some information on that, but before we get to that, I'm just going to say that this is the second time in recent times that EA have been found to have patents on monetization.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to remember what the other monetization was while you tell us about this one.
So the patent was not originally created by EA. It was originally originally filed by Kabam, which was a mobile publisher, and it was then split into Aftershock Services before being taken over by Foxnet Games in 2017, and then a year later EA swooped in and bought the patent, or I think that's how you phrase it. But EA have made a statement over this, was obviously when it was found out there was loads of people making assumptions and things like this, and EA have said that the patent is not part of any current EA games or technologies, and we are not planning to include it in any of our games. The patent was originally filed years ago without any of our involvement and came to EA through a previous asset acquisition. It sounds to me, genuinely, when I hear that, it sounds like it was a mystery box and EA just... that's what it sounds like.
It sounds like EA bought a loot box. It sounds like,
have you ever seen Storage Hunters or something like that, where people bid on, they don't know what's in it? That's what it sounds like. Yeah. That's how they've made it sound.
Yeah,
Just a warehouse somewhere that's just filled with all these patents.
It actually...
$1 million, $2 million.
It sounds a lot like they've bought a loot box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because they knew what was in there. It sounds like they actually... they knew what was in there. But...
Oh, of course, but they've made it sound like they just came across it. But no, they knew what they were buying.
Yeah.
They just wanted...
Well, I mean... You would think they would know.
Yes.
But you would think that if it included patents, you would know what was in there.
They're wanting... you'll have heard this phrase. They're wanting plausible deniability.
Yeah. That's
what it is. And I did remember what the other patent was.
What was it?
It was, if memory serves, it was a... I actually did a hand gesture and did a funny face there. Nobody can see that.
I didn't even notice you did that.
Oh, great. Anyway, yeah, I went
How
like
is that a funny... You just, put your hands out. How is that a funny hand gesture?
No, I pulled a funny face and did a hand gesture.
Oh.
So,
did not pay attention to anything you said then.
Okay.
Or did.
I'm just... Right. Are you sure I'm even actually here?
I don't even know if I'm here, to be perfectly honest.
Excellent. As I said, if memory serves, funny hand gesture.
Can we just move on? I'm fed up of hearing this funny hand gesture.
It was a patent which allowed them to put in a piece of software into their games so that when they were doing online matchmaking, the game would tactically, instead of drawing players with similar skill levels or balance of skill levels to make the teams even, what it would do is it would draw new players or players likely to buy loot boxes against players who already had bought loot boxes and were very good, to attempt to create a false impression in the not so good players that buying loot boxes would make them better.
Yeah.
It was about matchmaking in such a way to get people to believe buying loot boxes would be helpful.
Okay. So anyway, so they've got this patent, and then because people found out about it, I think a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with it. EA have said they've not got any plans to use it at the moment. Doesn't mean that they never will.
Well, even if you just look at that phrase, they don't have any plans to use it at the moment. Does that mean the plans are at the moment, or using it is at the moment?
Any current EA games or technology, it's not part of any current games or technology, and we are not planning to include it in any of our games. So is this possibly just EA have just decided to take this so that nobody else can use it? Are they planning on bringing out something else? Or is this that they are just thinking this is going to be too detrimental to games in any way, so they're just going to hold on to it so nobody can use it.
When Battlefront 2 came out in 2017, they bought this in 2018.
They bought it in 2018, yeah.
And then countries started banning loot boxes. Maybe they are actually not planning to use it because they have no idea how they would get it through.
Yeah. There's that possibility.
I mean, I have no doubt whatsoever they knew it was there. They wanted the plausible deniability and the secrecy, and they were planning on putting in absolutely everything they could get their hands on. But it is possible that there's two things. Are they delaying it so they can let the loot box hype die down? Or do they actually now think we can't use this?
I don't know. Only time will tell. We can only see what's going to happen in the future. And
this is a bit more of a debate than the Activision loot box thing with Call of Duty Modern Warfare, because there's actually a question there. Do they think they can get away with using it? If they do, they will. I've no doubt about it. That we're not planning to at the moment. They could turn around and put that in every single game they've released ever, like that has service capacity. I mean, I personally think they should focus more on actually making their games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see what EA will do. But what I was saying there was that I saw that Battlefront's deluxe edition, Battlefield 5's deluxe edition is down from 80 to like 24 or something like that.
All right.
That's the game which doesn't work properly in single player. There's lots and lots of bugs and stuff, and they haven't even finished releasing all the chapters.
Yeah.
Because Chapter 4 recently came out, and I think there's 5.
Yeah.
Jeez, just focus on your games, EA. Come on, please.
Okay, let's move on from EA. I'm going to hurry you today.
Right. Ubisoft's Ghost Recon Breakpoint has released to poor reviews and derision.
Is Ghost Recon one of the Tom Clancy things? Yeah.
Yeah. He's not necessarily involved in making them at any point. It's just
dead?
Yes, he is. But he's just had his name used as a. This is the type of game.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me that.
Aye. It's largely it's been derided by both gamers and reviewers. Like apparently the Metacritic score from gamers is 20%.
Well, the trusted reviews gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Games Radar gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars, and PC Gamer only gave it 40%.
Aye. So they're being far more generous, 40-50%, whereas there was a review at 20% and there was other stuff as well. So a lot of there's sort of 2 reasons for the problems. You've got one of them, I've got the other one. So you want to take yours? Yeah.
So basically, some people are finding that there are many technical bugs, like people and enemies walking into walls, or enemies being oblivious to their... I couldn't think of the word. I put down colleagues. Their cronies or something. I don't know, like the enemies.
Yeah, the enemies' allies.
I couldn't think of what they were called. I had the word in my head and I couldn't remember it when I went to go write it down. I still can't think of what it is. Basically, being gunned down. Somebody talked about the fact that like one of the baddies were like in the car and everybody else was outside, and they gunned down everybody outside, and this person didn't react to it at all. It took them a while to actually trigger what was going to happen.
Yeah. The other part I have here is that the game released with an enormous number of microtransactions.
Yeah.
As a response, Ubisoft were forced to remove some of the microtransactions. Obviously, because it was so bad. But there's nothing stopping them from putting them back in when the hype's died down.
No.
Because I can't... I wrote this down at the time, so I hope it's true. The statement that they released may have actually included the phrase "for now." Definitely, I will tell you.
You can't remember that. You cannot remember that for certain, though.
No, but what I will say is for sure, I got that feeling. It was definitely a "for now" thing.
Okay.
It may have actually used that phrase, in which case, dunno. But I definitely got the impression that they were putting this stuff back in as soon as the hype died down.
Yeah.
But to be fair to the game, like as we've pointed out, it did receive terrible scores for more than just loot boxes.
Yeah, like the technical bugs and stuff like that. But also, I don't know if you found that out, but you can. I think that the main kind of like villain in this is Colonel Cole D. Walker.
Right.
You can face off against him anytime you want. So you can literally start from what I've read, it sounds like you can literally start the game, go find him, and attack him, but you will be defeated. Because he's got a gear rating of 150. So you kind of need to grind through the game to be able to get your gear rating up as much as possible.
That sounds terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really bad, because that sounds a lot like the missions are... Like, there must not be a decent, coherent story if you can just stop halfway through and go and kill him.
Yeah, well, lots of people saying that it was very boring.
Yeah.
A lot of it was very tedious.
Yeah.
Which, you don't want that in a game, especially a game you have to pay for.
Well, it's especially the type of game that it is. It's a Ubisoft game, right?
Yeah.
So they work on a formula. If the actual mechanics of going through that process of playing a Ubisoft game with a Ubisoft formula are boring, it's never going to work.
No.
Because the way their games work, it has to be fun to do the thing.
Yeah. But, is there anything you else want to say before I give a bit of hope to this story?
I could just dash the hope afterwards. Oh, no, okay, I'll do this, right? So it was, one reviewer sort of, he was giving it a smack, for things like, I basically summed up all the negative as being, it was incoherent and unpolished.
Yeah.
But this particular reviewer, one reviewer said that they would rather play Anthem.
Oof. That is a burn and a half.
That's bad.
Yeah, that is bad.
That's bad.
That's bad.
I can't think of anything worse than that. What's your ray of hope?
The person that I was reading who had played the game said that... So apparently the co-op stealth game is actually really good. And they said that, depending on how large your team is, you can be revived at any point in a multiplayer by your teammates until basically you're all dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so they thought that was... That was pretty good.
It helped keep the flow of the game going.
Yeah, because I remember in Anthem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were able to revive each other.
Yeah, I think you can do that in Destiny. I think that what they do with Destiny is in the raids you get a limit in revives.
Yeah.
They might make you wait 30 seconds or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but in the main game you can just go and revive each other.
Yeah. So, do you have anything else to say on Ubisoft?
No, that's everything. I think that it's just that is making me laugh actually inside. I would rather play Anthem. Oh, that's such a good one. I might use that in future.
Next story.
Next story is regarding Bethesda.
I hate that word. I hate hearing about Bethesda now. I just get like a queasy sensation now whenever you bring it up, because I'm fed up of hearing about it.
Okay, so it's regarding Beth from ESDA.
Oh my god, just keep going.
We told you last week that they were delaying Doom Eternal until March 2020. Now we're reporting that Fallout 76 Wastelanders, which is their big free DLC, is being delayed until Q1 of 2020. They've released a statement claiming that it is being delayed to make it the best that it can be. Shame you didn't do that with the actual game. To be polished and to give them time to put in more fixes for the game this year. So this is other fixes. So, like, how is it that you're having to choose between a DLC and fixing the game? Anyway, according to Bethesda, this free DLC changes the whole world, which will mean that it's quite big. On the good side, they have said that it is one of the biggest expansions that they have made, but also that they are aware that if they mess this up, the game will be dead. I mean, that's not literally what they said, but they said that they knew it was important to make this work. Bethesda have also announced private servers for Fallout 76, and they will be moddable. A lot of people are very, very happy to see that, because a lot of people had fun modding Fallout 4 and
you were telling me,
Skyrim.
Yeah.
However, they're charging for the private servers. And they did not actually tell how they were going to be charging. So when you take into account the ridiculous prices of the Atom Shop and that sort of thing,
Yep.
this could cost quite a bit. There's also a question of will they be purchased or rented. Nobody said anything regarding that. as I said, the Wastelanders DLC is free, and it's probably free to try and get some players into the game because it's not doing very well. If this is so, does this make Wastelanders Fallout 76's relaunch?
Quite possibly.
Do you think we would see that with other games like Anthem? Don't know. Because in a weird way, you could argue that Destiny 2's relaunch was about maybe Forsaken or / Shadowkeep. You could argue they've had one. So Anthem might be planning one as well. Maybe that's why they just started shutting down all the development. Maybe they're planning something different now.
See, I don't want to go back into Anthem and talking about everything on Anthem because we don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
But if they could relaunch it and just make it a better game, like without all the glitches and stuff like that, that would be really good.
They'd have to make quite a few changes functionally, like the ability to change your weapon after you left, and they'd have to improve the story and the actual game mechanics, but it's possible.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
They just do EA have the talent though?
I don't know. But I do have some quotes here from Bethesda, or do you want to continue and then I'll talk?
No, you go first.
So, Bethesda have said that we've continued to reevaluate and change our processes to make sure the work we're doing hits our quality bar and yours.
Bethesda.
And they've also said our main aim... I have no idea what I've written there.
Our main aim objectives.
The objectives is to avoid a situation where players can spend money to gain a competitive advantage or make the game worse for other players. However, last month the item shop did start to sell scrap and repair kits and a fridge which will preserve raw and cooked food. This is a gameplay advantage.
Love Bethesda.
Yeah, the last one wasn't a quote there. That is something they've done.
Yeah, well, we knew that. They said, I think, that they had examined their data and found that they needed to add more substantial items to the Atomic Shop. In other words, we need to make more money. I was thinking, though, that Bethesda, have they actually thought this through? Because they now have two of their big releases releasing in Q1 of next year. And Q1 of next year is really packed of games. Massively packed. And Q4 of this year is basically empty. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes for them, considering they've moved from a kind of empty window to a totally packed one. But
because like you said, Fallout 4 was amazing. You really enjoyed it. You thought it was a good game.
I have enjoyed playing it, but it's nowhere near as good as 3 and New Vegas.
So they have the ability to create a very good game. So I think that maybe they just need to go back and they need to rethink quite a lot of things. But even like for me, who's not really played these kind of games before, I felt it was a bit disjointed.
Aye.
When I played it, I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed certain bits of it, but it was very glitchy, I felt. Because like when the enemies would spawn in and stuff like that, I felt like I wasn't given a real good chance to actually defeat them.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know, I just felt like they just kind of came out of nowhere, and no matter how much I tried to hit them, they weren't going down, or they'd like come back out again, or they'd like halfway through a wall.
Yeah, that can happen with a lot of Fallout enemies, particularly because you get things like mole rats and stuff like that which just come up out the ground and stuff. But in Fallout 76, you're right in the fact that they did appear to be...
But it's like when we play co-op, you could see stuff that I couldn't, and I could see stuff that you couldn't.
Yeah.
So they need to fix that. If you're playing with somebody, you both need to be able to see the same things.
Aye. I mean, it's also the fact that there was other people there, and what will happen is the game will spawn in an enemy for someone just up the road from you, and then maybe not for you.
Yeah, I didn't really like the fact that if you played multiplayer, you were playing in the same environment as other people.
I don't think there is a way you can't play 76 out with the environment.
I know, but
yeah, that's the point. I don't want an MMO Fallout.
Because even if, when we were playing the Star Trek game, and we were playing it together, there were instances where there were other players running around, but as soon as you started a game, it was just the two of you.
When you were doing a precise mission, it was the two of us,
Yeah, or it was, sometimes it was like you were in a team.
Aye, you could
only see those team players, whereas this, you were able to see everybody.
Yeah, so it was and I think it was particularly bad because for some reason we were actually in town where there was like 8 people and there was only 10 on the map. So
Yeah.
they were all congregated around us anyway. So it was a bit weird. I don't like Fallout 76 and I don't think I ever will. And that's okay, because my issue with it mainly is they've just not bothered to make it properly and then got people to buy it. But I don't think Fallout 76 is a smart idea. It's a Fallout game where they've taken all the story out of it and then made it badly. Like, you can't do both those. The one I think changed to Fallout 4, which I think was very good, was that I haven't finished it yet, but I've heard that when you complete the main story, you can keep playing the game once the main story is done, whereas 3 in New Vegas, it stopped once you completed the main story.
So you can't go back and muck about.
Yeah, whereas with the Elder Scrolls, you can go back. You just keep playing. That was the big difference for me. It was something I got very, very upset at with Fallout, is that they didn't let you keep playing.
Yeah.
But that's other than that, I've heard the story's not. What I've heard mainly about the story for Fallout 4 was that there wasn't really much you could actually decide to do. A lot of it was just sort of like dictated to you. There's some endings you can pick between, but that's kind of about it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Shall we move on?
Yes. To Fortnite.
Yes, so this is the last story we've got to talk about. There was a Fortnite reboot that was just like basically sprung on everyone. Nobody really knew it was coming. Most of the time when you fix a game, a service game, what you'll do is you'll take the game down at your least playable times, so like the middle of the night, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They did it at the weekend during the day.
Oh no.
But they did that deliberately.
Oh no.
To get lots of people's attention, and it went worldwide. Like CNN and stuff had news reports.
I missed
about
that.
It. Yeah. So, well, not worldwide. That's bad. So it went to news outlets which you could view worldwide, but were mostly American.
Okay.
And they took the game down for a couple of days over the weekend. So the last upgrade was, what was it, like season 11 or season 10, something like that, and they shut it down and they've re-released it, rebooted it as Chapter 2. So at the time of writing the notes I have, we didn't know the changes because patch notes were not released, and all we knew was that the map was new with some old places included, that there were some HUD and UI fixes, crisper graphics, group dance emotes, the ability to carry friends to safety, weapon upgrades, and hiding in hay bales. Some weapons and items had been removed.
Yeah, well, I've got a list of some of the updates.
But now we have a list because people have been playing it and writing them down and all the rest of it. So you have a fuller list. So would you mind?
So basically you can play against bots. And one player in particular figured out that had to tell the difference between a bot and a real player, because apparently it's easier to defeat a bot.
Yep.
So if you're playing it, you can only mimic a real player's emotes. I don't really understand that, but that is what they said. But also, a bot will stop dancing at around 10 seconds without doing any actions to stop. So I think it literally just freezes, stops. You can grab other people's fishing poles. I know that sounds odd, but apparently, like if somebody starts drowning, you can grab onto their fishing pole and like pull them out, and things like that. There's something called the slurry swamp, which I think is like a new thing. And if you wander through like this luminescent water sludge thing, it can heal you up and also replenish your shield.
Right.
So that's good. You can see through the storm, which is much easier when you can see through the storm wall a little bit easier. I'm talking about this like I've ever played the game.
Yeah,
I haven't.
I have seen some gameplay and the storm wall was very blue.
Well, apparently it's much easier to see. There's also a place called the retail row where you can see a big fish dance. The big fish can now dance. Apparently it's a bit like, do you remember, what was it, something bass? Do you remember that fish that used to, like, don't worry?
Yeah, the...
Big mouth bass, or whatever it was.
Marvin.
No, it wasn't. It would have been something bass.
Sea bass.
No, it began with a B. I think it was Billy Bass.
Billy Bass.
Billy Bass or something like that. You can also carry down a team, like you mentioned, you can carry down a team member to safety. So that's pretty good, like on your shoulders, and you can like run away with them.
Kidnapped a downed
Apparently,
team member.
you know, there's apparently loads of beaches. The beaches now will contain buried treasure at some points.
Okay, cool.
And then a couple more things. Apparently, you can take a motorboat on land and in air. I don't understand
how. Get it into the
I don't
air?
know. I don't know, but people have been able to do that.
Okay.
And also, you can do something called dolphin hopping. So basically, if you're swimming, you can press jump, and you can do a quick dolphin jump. But if you're continuously doing it, it creates like a speedboat effect for you, so you can like speed through the water.
Okay.
So that was like the ones that a lot of people were talking about.
I don't know why you didn't start with the dolphin hopping and the
motorboat.
No, the big fish can dance. That seems to be the most important two pieces of information there.
Yeah. I've still never played Fortnite.
Neither have I. I don't have any interest in it. There were a couple of other changes that I did find out about. So they've added progress models, which might make it interesting for players. So things like, I suppose it'd be like so many headshots, so many of this, so many of that.
Okay.
But sort of like the commendations on Halo 5. But they might make it interesting for players who just enjoy playing the game. But they may also remove some of that fixation on getting a win. Because you're able to, you know, if you've won the game before, you might not really be that interested in winning. So it might spread the wins out. You know, if somebody who's winning is too busy running around trying specifically to get headshots.
Yeah.
Also, from the released images at the time, there didn't seem to be much of a focus on the building mechanics of Fortnite, and your list of changes didn't really mention anything to do with that. So that's interesting as well. That's their gameplay staple.
Yeah.
And they're not doing anything with it at all. We're just like, that's fine the way it is, thank you. So that's the main differentiating marker of Fortnite as a battle royale game. It's fair to say that the reboot is Chapter 2 is their attempt to shake off some of the downturn, so that there's no rot set in at any point. Because there was a 52% drop in revenue in July.
All right.
I think that might be compared to the previous July, not June.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, think about it. Fortnite have gone through a lot of controversies over the last year or so, especially the dance moves and things like that, because people have been saying that they've been using copyrighted dance moves.
Yes, and the problem is that Fortnite are on the opposite side from some pretty well-liked characters.
Yeah.
I mean people when I say that. And so that might not be great for them.
So I think that's all the stories we have for you today.
Yeah. I think the Fortnite one is just them trying to shake off any potential rot.
Sounds like you've wound, like, you know, I feel like your like keys just wound down just a little bit there.
It's just whenever I talk about Fortnite, just
Alright, okay, well I'm gonna stop it there. So thank you for listening today. We hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully it's been a bit more informative and I've spoken a little bit more because I was actually able to do some research.
Well, you spoke more than you did last week.
I wasn't here last week, that's why, you idiot. So I'm glad I made that much of an impact that you actually noticed if I was just sitting beside you or not. If you would like to subscribe to our channel, that'd be brilliant. You can hit that like button and hit the notification bell to get notified when we upload videos. If you would like to comment, that'd be brilliant.
You need to subscribe as
I
well.
also said that.
Did you?
Yep.
I'm not listening to you now.
If you'd like to follow us on Facebook, you can at overshadow.shadowcast. And if you'd like to email us at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com. If you want to send a direct message to us or something like that, that'd be great. All comments are welcome.
Yes, we will just moderate.
We'll just edit out the ones we don't want to hear.
Well, not the ones we
Or
don't
read.
want to hear, but the ones that are...
Not nice.
Not even that, just the ones that are utterly pointless.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. I'll say goodbye.
I'll say I hope you enjoyed yourselves and that we see you next week.
Maybe. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.